yeah, I mean, it's just a learning experience. So, I mean, the thing that I wanted to talk about on this particular call was like basically why I wanted to do a course. And I mean, I kind of think I talked to you about it a little bit, but like, you know, I remember basically I wanted to say like what my experience was when I first had Sophia, my first child, and then give everybody their opportunity to share like their experience and just find,
Yeah.
you know, find similarities, because becoming a mother, we all sort of, in some sense, we share the same similar experiences, you know, in becoming a mother, you know, and how you give birth and here you are with this baby, and then you have to learn how to breastfeed, and then you know, the whole question of do I go back to work? Do I want to go back to work? You know, so I think that there's a lot of times, very often, when I get together with moms, there is such a connection immediately, because everybody's talking about the same, very similar struggles. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. They might be slightly different string of things, but yeah, generally there's suddenly realizing that it's actually they're all quite similar, the stories.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, do you want to go sit with Daddy now to see maybe cartoons are ready now? Yeah, I can hear he's walking around.
Oh.
It's just too hot sitting on me anyway.
Yeah, I know, it's hot. So yeah, I mean, when I was, it's funny because Julie was, Julie's kind of taken this. She's really funny. She's taken, as you saw. Whoops, my internet is so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. My internet is just so unpredictable. It's just been really bad lately. So yeah, Julie, as you know, we were talking about Julie. She's so enthusiastic about this whole thing, and at least every other day, if not every day, she's sending me like 1 or 2 WhatsApps, you know, like telling me.
Oh, is she? Gosh, okay, that's
it's
interesting.
Awesome. I think it's great, but that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that I want to keep my once I do like the official launch, where because what I'm going to probably do is it's going to be, I think, something like, I don't know, for it depends on the degree of participation, but I think I'm going to be charging something like a monthly fee of 47 pounds, or something like a one-time $297. Pounds or dollars. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do it in dollars, euros, or pounds.
Yeah, that's a bit tricky because you've got different
It's
people
so
with
tricky.
different parts.
Yeah. I mean, I might just
in
go.
America.
Yeah.
I suppose you could have people.
Yeah, I mean, I might just do it in dollars just to make it simple, and it, like, I guess it also gives people over here in Europe some kind of, so to speak, discount. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody can switch between dollars and pounds.
Yeah.
And you know, euro is pretty equivalent to the dollar is pretty equivalent to the pound at the moment anyway. They're all pretty the same. So
yeah, I know.
Pound's doing awfully.
Yeah, right, which is why it's kind of like it could be one of any of the three.
Yeah.
So once I do that, I think that I'll limit it to no more than 20 people, because I don't think that I could answer consistently and promise, you know, a reply if I'm answering 20 people a day. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, I would just be on my WhatsApp all day answering, you know, questions and stuff. And it's very easy to monitor 5-6 people now. But like anything above 10, 15, I don't really know. So but basically that's the intent, that's the goal, and which would be great. Although I don't know if everybody's going to be contacting me every single day. Like, not everybody has a problem every single day. I mean, I don't
No,
know.
but you might find you'll get some days that maybe you'll have more than other days as well. So you might find
Yeah,
Tuesday and Wednesday might be really sort of
yeah,
quiet. And Thursday and Friday, all of a sudden you'll get like 10 different
yeah.
messages.
That's true. Or like weekends, when weekends can get.
Yeah, the weekends probably.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, it's funny because like my sister, ever since she gave birth to her first baby, I mean, she's been doing that with me, you know, every day. so, which is kind of why I partly why I decided to do this, and also like some other friends that gave birth, you know, in the last few years, they would just send me like, because they knew that I was skilled with pediatric health, or you know, infant health, and so they would just text me, and they would be like, hey, you know, it's usually when the baby has a fever, or if something's not right and they're just not sure, as opposed to, yeah, like, I don't always get like daily, you know, my sister just would text me daily anyway, but so yeah, so it's just stuff that was just sort of, you just need reassurance, or, you know, what should I do? And then it got to a point where, one of my friends, she basically she would contact me before she even contacted her pediatrician. So,
Yeah, I mean the problem with Ellie at the moment, she seems like we've realised she came down with a cold. I mean, she came
oh,
down, which is like ridiculous this time of
yeah,
year. She came down with a cold, and like most kids, when they get sick, she's just. Well, we literally actually just before I came on here, we just went up to Sainsbury's, which is like should be
yeah,
a 15-minute walk there and back. So just go pick up some milk. Turned into being over half an hour because we took the scooter, which was a mistake in the first place, and we
right.
ended up just riding the scooter for like literally like probably about 10 minutes in total. It was like anyway.
See, this is a perfect example. This is like exactly what motherhood is about, like right there. It's just,
It used to really like when she was younger, it used to really kind of bother me when she'd get really upset, because then you get really upset,
yeah,
and not only you get upset, you get frustrated as well with the
yeah,
fact that, you know, anything you try and say to them, I mean, this is what else, anything you try to say to her, she just breaks down, like she'll like
yeah,
break down, and it's like, oh god, it's like, what am I meant to do? And you know, what's meant to be a delightful or a very simple excursion turns into this epic situation,
yeah,
and it's always when she's not feeling that great. So it's like, oh, I dread when things like colds come around because of that. It's like,
yeah,
but anyway,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
mean, these days I can handle a lot better because I know it's not going to be anything major. I've been through it all, so I'm a lot more relaxed. But it doesn't my frustration doesn't get any less.
yeah.
The worry's less, but the
Yeah.
frustration kind of the frustration goes high and the worry goes down. Anyway.
Oh man, you're preaching to the choir. This is so classic, so typical.
You got
Uh,
three as well. I mean, I can't even imagine if like three of them were sick. What happens when three of your children are sick at the same time?
um, that's never. Well, that's the most. Maybe has that ever happened before?
Like if you all get like a food poisoning or like a stomach bug or something like that, or does it kind of,
It goes in. Yeah, it goes in a domino effect. It doesn't
yeah,
actually. I don't think they ever were ill at the same time. There was an overlap, but um, yeah, it usually happens. It's funny how that works. It just, one of them will catch it, and then, you know, 2 days later the other one. So
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But you know, my kids, they don't get sick that often, and if they do, the good thing is that it lasts really. It's just, it comes and goes really fast
yeah, cool.
within 24, you know, maybe to 48 hours. Usually it's gone within, you know, a day and a half. And uh, and the good thing is that not necessarily all three will get it. Sometimes it's
Right.
just
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
And at the most, really, it's like two of them will get it, and for some reason, one of them just will not get it. It's just weird, and it's not predictable. It's not like if I was to say, it's really funny. It was if I was to say, I think out of the three, I would have to say that Anna's immune system, so my youngest, is the most robust, but only by a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because I think my theory is she was the one that I birthed at home, and she was,
Oh, right. In that
yeah,
home, in the
yeah.
home that you were in.
No, in Paris.
Oh, she was born in
Yeah.
Paris.
The other two were born in the same birthing center in New York City, but the birthing center, it's a birthing center in a hospital. And it was great. It was a really nice birthing
Yeah.
center. But the thing that they both had, so when I was pregnant, I was group B positive. You know,
Okay.
yeah. Did you get that tested or no?
Uh, don't.
Because in the UK, it's not
Is it a blood
mandatory.
type?
No, it's a bacteria that they test around 36 weeks, and in the UK it's not required, so it's
Oh,
not
right. Well, then
standard.
I probably wouldn't. I don't recall getting anything.
Right. It's
No.
in the States, and I think in France, it's a required test, and I don't know why it's not required in the UK. So it's it's basically women who get it tested in the UK. It's because the doctor or the midwife has instructed and said, we should do this, blah blah blah. But strangely, it's not, and it's like if you're, it's a bacteria that it exists in our digestive tract and our vaginal flora. And if the bacteria culture is a little higher than normal for some reason, it could be a risk of infection to the baby when the baby comes out.
Oh, okay. And
And
what kind of adverse effects does it have on the baby?
well, it's very rare, but it can be within immediately or within 6 days. They'll just have an infection. It's just like it's like an infection. So the baby,
Like it has a temperature.
it's a temperature, and then in severe cases, it can actually cause neurological problems.
Oh, right. Okay, because
So,
that's so new. Okay.
but it just depends. It depends on the baby, but like, I don't know, it can cause problems and just create a cascade of issues. And then, but the thing is, nothing is absolute, like nothing is guaranteed safety. So the thing is, okay, here's my turn. What's going on? What's going on? Okay, well, what are you gonna do with it? No, 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 no. Not in here. Anna and Kitty. What did I just say?
Okay.
You can come in here when I'm done.
Okay. You're lazy. I'm a princess. No. No.
Okay, we got the neighbors across the street that the kids come over, so that actually helps me because they're all doing their own thing. So for Sophia and Max, for both of them, I was GBS positive. So when they took the culture, so what they do is they take a cotton swab and they swab just the outside of your vagina, just at the entrance.
Okay.
And then they tell you like the next day you're positive, which means you have more than necessary. So that means that when you give birth, you have to be given antibiotics within 4 hours, a minimum of 4 hours before you deliver, before the baby comes through the birth canal. So when I was in the birthing center for Max and Sophia, my two first, I was given antibiotics, and then that was that. Like, whatever. It's a pain in the ass because you've got the IV, and you have to have the IV connected to you while you're trying to go through the contractions. So, and also my sister went through that as well, so she knows what it feels like. But with Anna, I've Googled ways to, to sort of shift your vaginal flora. And, like, it's kind of almost like when you have some kind of like, they say that like yogurt, if you just spread yogurt up there, you eat a lot of garlic. So what I did is I would spread yogurt up there and I would let it go up. I would do that at night. So I would sleep with it. So all night, like the bacteria in the yogurt would do its thing. I ate so much garlic every day for 7 days straight. I would just take 2 or 3 relatively medium to small cloves of garlic, and I would swallow it whole, like as if it was a big pill. Yeah, because if you swallow, it's a little trick. If you swallow a garlic clove whole, because you haven't crushed it and all the aroma comes out, you actually don't smell, like you don't have that gross burpy garlicky taste.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I eat garlic cooked, I eat it straight, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I know, but for me it's not an issue to smell, it's just more you were able to swallow it whole like that.
But I mean, I would get like ones that were pretty small, like find them that are small. So I would swallow like a good three of them a day.
Yeah.
And that totally helped. And so when I got tested for the GBS, it was negative. So that
good. So that really worked.
So it seems to have worked. I guess because I ate, what else did I do? I took apple cider vinegar I diluted it with water and I just chugged it down.
Yeah.
I did everything that I could to totally get my my gut flora to be, because the bacteria won't be there or they can't thrive in alkaline systems. So the more alkaline your system is, the less chance of having any kind of bacterial infection.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So they say like if you can stomach it, some people take like 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar a day, or you could just dilute it. I just diluted it and chugged it. I'd swallow tons of the garlic, and then I did the just for the vagina thing, I would just put natural plain yogurt up my vagina and just let it sit there for the night. So so that was good, and I was negative. So for Anna's birth, I didn't have any antibiotics. And so my theory is that when I gave birth to Sophia and Max, because I had the antibiotics, it was in my system, and it was so I'm assuming that it went into. They say that antibiotics don't go into breast milk, but I'm kind of like, well, they say, well, when you're breastfeeding, don't drink too much alcohol because there will be some trace amount of alcohol.
So why wouldn't
why wouldn't antibiotics go into the breast milk? But anyway, I don't actually know what the real answer is, because it's obvious. You can test that. You can just express breast milk and get it tested to see what's in it. So, but the other thing is, like, when you take antibiotics during birth, that the whole point of the antibiotics is to kill the bacteria, right? So they say that when babies are born vaginally, what happens is the whole expulsion of them going through the vaginal canal, they collect a whole bunch of bacteria.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah, around the body, which creates their first layer of immune defense.
Yeah.
Like that bacteria is, and this is scientifically proven or discovered, that bacteria is what produces the microbiome of the newborn. And so if I was on antibiotics, or when women are taking antibiotics during the birth, the whole point is to affect the vaginal flora, because the GBS, that bacteria that was present, they're saying, well, we're giving you antibiotics so we can kill those bacteria. So if you're giving the antibiotics to kill that bacteria, you're also going to kill all the other bacteria.
Yeah.
So, this is, again,
you may as well have a C-section.
Yeah.
Don't bother with them, the pain, just have a
Yeah.
C-section.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, but so, it's just, of course, it's just a theory. But my theory is, Anna's, and who knows, there's no way I'll be able to find out. And it's not really that big of a difference, but Anna's immune system is so robust. It's incredible. I mean, when Sophia and Max are ill or have a fever or something, she either doesn't get it, or if she does get it, it's like the quickest. It's almost like you've never known she was sick. She'd have a fever for like 12 hours. That's it, and then it'd be done. Like really, really quick. And I feel like it's probably because she had a home birth and she's had nothing. She's had no she had no antibiotics, nothing was wrong. So her system has been able to, and she was exclusively breastfed. So she's had never had her system is so like self built. Her immune system has been built totally through like organically with no outside intervention. So I don't know, that's my theory. I think that's why. But anyway, they're all really, really healthy, and and I definitely think that getting adjusted helps as well. So, so the reason why I wanted to create this course is because I was so surprised at the transformation from pregnancy. So when I got pregnant, I thought I had a practice in New York. I thought I was going to hire an associate, like another chiropractor, to come in and cover me during my maternity leave. And I couldn't find anybody. So around my 4th or 5th month, I started to think, this is so stressful. I'm running a business and I don't want to, in New York City where the rent is so expensive, I didn't want to have to deal with the stresses of owning a business. So, and my heart was just not into it. And so I around my 6th month, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to close my practice. I just can't find anybody to cover me. And then, so I made that decision. I finished up my last few weeks. I stopped practicing when I was about 32 or 33 weeks. And then it was kind of like, okay, I'm just sitting here waiting to give birth. So then after I had Sophia, I was so surprised. Well, first of all, even though it was a pretty straightforward birth, like totally no problems, no epidural, no drugs, no nothing. The first couple days, I was really surprised because I just felt that I didn't bond as much as I thought I would with her. And that was that totally threw me off. It wasn't that bad. It was just, I think I was just in shock from just that whole 24 hours of being in labor and that sort of thing. And I think just getting used to breastfeeding, that was really a struggle for the first 2 to 3 weeks for me. But yeah, the first few days, it was just I was just oh my God, this amazing baby. And I guess it just took me a few days to realize this is your daughter. This is you're a mother now. So, and I've heard that from a lot of women too. And so I struggled with this whole big new identity as a mother. And I felt really lonely. Once my husband went back to work after a week or two, he was on paternity leave for a week or 10 days or something. And then after about a month, he's going to work and he's doing his thing. After a month or so, I just started to really, it was this very weird, almost surprising, uncomfortable feeling of, oh my God, I feel so lonely. And it just, it was just what am I doing? And I don't really know anybody. All my friends are not moms yet. My whole reality was completely shifted. And I just was so surprised because nobody ever told me this. Nobody, I mean, I felt like, is it my fault? Like, should I have known this kind of stuff? Like, should I have read more? Should I, like, why don't I know this? How come this is such a shock to me? And so I just had to just go through my days and just keep on going and whatever. And then I started to meet new moms. As Sophia got older, I would put her in like different classes and music classes, and I did so much with her. But like that was a big surprise for me, just like becoming a mother after having my first baby. It was just really such a different life, a different reality for me. And also I didn't know, I got so much value and validation from my career as a chiropractor in New York City. I got so much, my self-worth was like really high as a chiropractor because I put so much energy into that. And I remember feeling so lost and not knowing who I was because I was discovering myself as a mom. And I put so much energy into my career and into myself as a chiropractor. And the result of that was I got a lot of validation and a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like my self-worth as a chiropractor was really high. But I didn't realize that, you know what, it was like 95% of who I was as a woman was a successful chiropractor in New York City. And so when I decided to close my practice and just, put a pause on practicing, and then I'm like all of a sudden a mother.
So carry on.
I felt like, what? Oh, she's so cute.
Yeah, do you want to take some babies with you and then go downstairs? No? Okay. Mama's talking at the moment, okay?
She's so cute. I just felt, so when I'm like sitting there for like a good it took me about 8 months to finally feel comfortable in my skin, in my day-to-day life as a mother. Like it took a while, I felt like my body was so not the way I had a lot of body issues. My body changed tremendously. Like I gained a lot during my pregnancy. And, so my point is I know, and I've heard from other moms, new moms, that the transition from, going from not being a mom to being pregnant and then having a baby, women have similar experiences. And it's just like, well, oh my God, if I had some kind of, and it was different then, that was 2006. So online programs and, Zoom, I mean, I don't even know when Skype was available, but like this kind of technology was not as readily available. And now it is. I mean, there's a lot of programs for moms. And I know that if I had access to this kind of support, I would totally have been I would have been right up in it. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's why that's one of the reasons why I wanted to create this course. And then the other reason is a lot of my patients with their babies, every time I would show them some things, they're like, oh my God, can you write me the instructions, or can you, and one of the women was like, you should have an online course for women. And then it was like this light bulb. It was like, bing. So yeah, so that's basically the whole thing. And now I've come around, and having 3 kids at age 12, 9, and nearly 7, it's like a whole new ball game. I feel so much more, adept, and I don't know if expert is the word, but there's a level of confidence and expertise with being a mother. And then also the fact that I've been working with and studying infant health, it just all comes together where I just have so much information and practical information for women now that, and because technology is just so much more supportive to access this thing for women, it's kind of like a no-brainer. So so that's why here we are.
No, it sounds good.
Yeah. So
No,
so it's good.
the reason what you were just talking about before, actually, being becoming a mum and kind of almost because you're expected to kind of think, oh, you're just going to throw yourself into it. It's all going to be all good. People don't really tell you. I wouldn't like to say the word negative because it's not necessarily negative. It's just the different experiences. And I can very much totally relate to that. Very immensely relate to it.
Yeah.
I remember because I'll briefly kind of give you a quick run through about kind of my experience. It was reasonably similar, actually.
Right.
And I remember when I found out I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was shocked with that. So because Jamie and I just got married, and we decided as thinking, it's probably going to take a while. People say it takes a while to get pregnant, and I'm always been quite, for a number of years now, I've been under, so BMI has been quite low. I've got fast metabolism, things like that. And I just, because of that, I assumed that actually it would probably take me longer to get pregnant because of that. So we did start sort of trying straight after we got married, and lo and behold, a month later, I found out I was pregnant. So the shock of that was like, oh my gosh. So I didn't even, but I also remember I was just actually talking to Jamie about it earlier on today. Coincidentally, I said to him, God, do you remember when some women sort of think, oh no, we'll have to because we heard on the radio that a lady had been going out with her boyfriend for 5 years, and she was wondering when he was going to propose to her. And I think, God, and I said to Jamie, I was like, oh, do you know, I do not recall thinking, when are you going to propose to me? And he proposed to me at 4 years in, and my reaction to him proposing was really a shocking reaction. I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting it at all. And it was, so I'm just comparing that with then finding out I was pregnant. Again, it was another shocking type of thing. So I kind of, because of that, even though obviously you then have 9 months to kind of get to terms with the fact that you're about to have a baby, that still doesn't really prepare for the actual motherhood itself, as we all know, mums, because you just have no idea what it's going to do. And so I kind of knew what type of person I was going to be like, in a way, when I was going to have Ellie, but you don't really know fully until it happens. So I remember when I had her, gave birth to her, she actually was taken away from me straight away because she wasn't quite breathing. It was all a bit of a rushed thing at the end, and anyway, and so I didn't have the sort of skin-to-skin direct contact straight away. And then when I think it was I can't remember the time scale, but it was maybe an hour, 2 hours later, when Jamie said to me, oh, do you want to hold Ellie? I didn't actually want to hold her, and I never said to anybody that until I think a good year into having Ellie, because I felt well, no one's going to want to hear that, or they think I'm not going to love my daughter or something. But I didn't want to hold it, because I think I was so, the birth thing was quite a traumatic thing, relatively good for birthing as it goes, but quite traumatic from my perspective. And then obviously when Ellie came out and all that happened, it wasn't serious, but it was serious enough for them to have to take her away very quickly, but then to bring her back. And I didn't want to hold her. I didn't want to hold her for the first couple of hours. And then obviously after that, then it was sort of fine. But I think that was the kind of beginning instigator for me, possibly. Really proper beginning instigator. And then I remember 4 days in, and this is obviously hormones as well, 4 days in, we were just walking up into town with Ellie and her pram, and I just burst into tears because I was suddenly dawned on me that my life was never going to be the same again. It was such an overwhelming feeling that, oh my gosh, what have I just done? This is it. It's not like going for a new job and then you can back out of your new job if you,
Right.
you know, don't like it. It's not the end of the world. You can
Right.
walk away from it a week later. It's not the end of the world. You'll find another job. You can't walk away from motherhood. You're in it. This is it. And
That's
it was
huge.
it was huge. It was like a big cannonball just like fell on me. Like, this is it. And I just could not handle it. For that moment of time, I remember just kind of suddenly, Jamie was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I just can't think. I just can't think. It's so overwhelming. And I just remember it just, but not overwhelming in a good way.
I completely understand. I get you.
Overwhelming, very scared, very holy moly, what is, you know, this is it type of thing. And I kept sort of telling myself, you know, this shouldn't be the way, it shouldn't be the case. And actually it was, I think I was about 10 months into having Ellie, and everything was fine. I was going to like little courses and met some friends, everything like that. And I started to feel I was getting postnatal depression, but this was 10 months in. So this was 10 months in, and I was perfectly, my sort of mental health was perfectly fine. Obviously hormones go on now, but they were perfectly fine. But then I just remember feeling kind of, it was November, so that probably didn't help. So we were going into winter, you know, we were coming out of autumn, going into winter, and I was thinking, oh my gosh. And I remember starting to feel like I need to get out of this situation, this kind of, this sort of mini routine, this whatever I was in. I felt like I was trapped to an extent. And I thought, if I continue thinking I should ignore it, like just thinking, Mommy, just ignore it, it will go away. Mommy? Ellie, Mummy's talking just at the moment, okay, babes? Then it will spiral. And I knew that because you hear about postnatal depression, you hear about it, you know, and I decided I have to get out of London, because I thought the only way I think I'm going to be able to shift this. I didn't know whether it would work, but I said, and I don't have any family in London, you know, my mum's in here, Jamie's parents not down here. And I thought, well, I could go back home to the Isle of Man for a couple of weeks, but that would mean having to take a flight, and I was just not wanting to do that with a 10-month-old, you know. And all that type of thing. And you know, it would be quite inconvenient. You can only take over a certain amount of stuff, you know, things. So I decided I would go up to my mother-in-law's place up in Scotland. So we drove all the way up to Scotland, and I stayed up there for 2 weeks. And to this day, I still feel, gosh, that was such a long time to stay with my parents literally on like a whim. I mean, maybe I gave them a few days, maybe a week's notice, but I knew I needed to get out of London. And it worked.
Yeah. Oh, good.
It worked because I came back not in the same mindset. It just kind of let me see somebody else's life, you know, a different perspective. Just take me out from what I think is all my worlds. Let me just step into other people's worlds, and just to give you a perspective of life again. And I think that must have shifted the balance for me. But like I said, that wasn't within the first month, within the first couple of months. That was 10 months in having Ellie. And I suddenly realized, gosh, I'm not feeling right. This is, you know, if I ignore it, it will get. So I guess if I could give advice to anything with that, if you suddenly start feeling, and I've told my friends actually this as well, if you start feeling like you're heading down a depressional type of way, try and shift what you're doing. Get out, do something, but make it significant enough that it's like a week, 2 weeks. So it's not just I'm going to the park or do something reasonably extravagant to mind. So I totally relate to the whole not so much the loneliness thing, but definitely the shock. Definitely the shock, and the, you know, oh my gosh, this little thing is my responsibility for the rest of my life.
I think that's for all, you know, I think that's really, I didn't know that about you, and it's really great that you're telling us this, because it's so my gosh, I think that like the way I equated it for me was the shock was all encompassing, but in my experience, it was just, I would just use the word loneliness. Like I just felt like so lonely. Like, and also I think coming with that, the whole realization of, like, I think the loneliness was so magnified for me because it was this realization, like you said, that was, oh my God, this is like it. This is, this is life as we see it and know it, and it's going to go on. So, yeah, that's such a huge thing. I know, like somebody, Charlotte is another person in the group, and she just had her second, and her baby is now almost 6 months old. But she had, I think, hopefully she'll have an opportunity to confirm this, but she had to come to grips with like becoming a mother, and then when she had her second, or when she got pregnant with her second, she was just like, oh my God, because it was a little bit of a surprise. And after she gave birth, she's like, oh my God, like I'm a mother of 2 girls now. And she's like, I cannot believe this. So she's still coming to grips with it,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big thing. It's life is so funny. It's funny. I don't really know that men have that same kind of shock that we do,
It's really interesting. I mean, but even from one mother to the next, I mean, like some mums just take it all in their stride, which is honestly, I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, I can't relate to that because I think it's because, and I think because Jamie's quite similar to thinking with me, my husband's quite similar thinking with me, and we were very much, we like our own space, we like our adult space as well. So we are not that sort of couple who will have 4, 5, 6 babies. It's just not something, even though I feel like I should be that type of person. I'm not, but yeah, but like I was saying, like some mums just take it all in their stride, and I guess I don't worry as much. I am quite a worrier though.
Oh, right.
Well. So like I developed quite, I don't know how severe, not severe, I wouldn't say severe, but I definitely, to some degree, developed over the time anxiety, because actually that was part of the reason I started coming to you as a chiropractor.
Right.
Because I was seeing a nutritionalist before that, because I went to her to actually overall figure out the overlying reason why my weight wasn't going up.
Right.
But it was down to what we figured out was stress and anxiety, and we pinpointed that actually anxiety, it's something that had really built as Ellie, from when Ellie was born all the way through to basically now, now that she's a lot easier and I'm nowhere near as paranoid about it.
Right.
I was very anxious, very anxious. So, I mean, I didn't even feel ready to begin to feel like I should become pregnant again until she was about 2.5,
Right.
So, whereas, so when people say, like my mother had decided she wanted another child when I was 9 months, I was like, oh my God, there was just no way I was going to be in that stage. So, but you're saying from men's perspective, I don't know. I mean, I've tried to ask Jamie, but I mean, they don't talk the way that women talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's a very common thing I hear as well. I think it's really common. I know a lot of women who, for some reason, and it could be because they had a really tough pregnancy, or like a really traumatic birth, or like your experience after the birth, some kind of anxiety built up. I have met so many moms like that, so many moms, and they don't have their second baby until the first child is at least 4 or 5, because it took that long to just become more comfortable in their lives, and the anxiety has gone down. So that is so common. It's a huge thing. And I wonder if there's something to do with living in the city, like women who live in a big city as opposed to the countryside. I mean, I don't know, but in general, I think largely, we put so much pressure on ourselves. I don't think men, like as a mother, as a parent, I don't think men put anywhere near the amount of pressure. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same. It's not the same.
I'm getting hungry.
You're getting hungry.
Yeah, it's almost dinner time.
I'm hungry. It's not that pasta.
Okay, well, can you just, I'm almost done, so can you just wait, sweetie? Ow, 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 stop. This girl likes to suck my arms and my thighs. It's just the weirdest, like this weird thing now she's doing. Yeah, so anyway.
I think it's also, sorry to cutting you there, but I think it's also maybe the amount of support as well that you have around, because I think because I literally have no family, and I was basically one of the first of my friends to have children down here. I guess from the lonely perspective, that did come into that sort of thing. But if my mum lived, even if she lived an hour away or 2 hours away or something, it would maybe my anxiety would have not have been as heightened. I don't know. It might have been worse having my mum live closer. I don't know. But because we've had no help. Like there's the once or twice a year that we have the grandparents come down here is all the help we get, you know, and that's so.
Yeah, that was actually one of my main questions. Like, where are women? Are you getting help? And when you had your baby, what kind of help did you have? I think that support is a huge factor in mother and baby health. Like, it's a huge thing.
I think, and also actually just thinking about as we're talking, because my mum didn't come over till Ellie was 5 weeks old, which for any new mum, that is like a mammoth amount of time. And you know, when we have a second child, I've said to my mum, you know, straight after paternity or before that, you've got to come over, because I've been there before where you can come over till 5 weeks. And I think that really, because I remember when mum arrived and I literally had no sleep that night, and I handed Ellie over just crying because Jamie had to go to work, and I just was so knackered. And I handed Ellie, and she was crying, I was crying. My mum just said to me, "Go to bed, I don't want to see you for another 4 hours." So for 4 hours, so she took Ellie, you know, but I was at breaking point at that point when I really, really could have done with more supports before then. Really could have done. I was a new mum, and then the more I think about it, particularly now, and then looking at my friends and stuff, you know, I really didn't have a lot of support. Like, really, really didn't, and I really, really could have done with more support for sure. Right at the beginning.
Yeah, it's so important. Like, I think one of the things that women have to, when they're pregnant, like Julie, I hope she listens to this or watches this. You know, she's about to give birth, and you know, she's in Paris, so I'm planning to go down there like around the time she's going to give birth. So hopefully I'll be able to plan it where I'll get there either just before she gives birth, and then I'm there and she gives birth, or I go there right after she has the baby. I just want to not only just to be there just to see her baby, but I think like it's so important to have like at least for 2 weeks after the baby's born, to have somebody to cook you food, to, you know, do your laundry, to make, you know, just like basic needs, just to get you a cup of tea or coffee or water when you're breastfeeding. I mean those things are huge. I think it's just so important. I mean, like I just don't know how a woman just will not be able to she will not be able to feel happy. It's like it disrupts the hormones, like the oxytocin. It can create
it does.
It can create so much fatigue where you've had it. I mean, you know, you can't sleep well, and that it's like that time immediately after birth up to 2 to 3 weeks is just because you just don't know, how is the breastfeeding going to go? How is the baby going to be? Is the baby going to sleep? Are you going to be able to sleep? Like, there's so many little details there. So I think that is just like one of the biggest things. And in fact, it's so huge that I am planning on eventually, they have like you can be a doula, or and when there's also the postnatal doula that that gives support. So I think, like, on top of my chiropractic training to adjust babies, I think I want to do a course on becoming a postnatal doula, because because I just think that is such an important part of mother and baby health.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I honestly, I think, well, it'd be in numerous reasons, but I think that's why I've only just reached the stage in the last, I guess, year with Ellie, where I've been like thinking, okay, I'm ready for another child.
Yeah.
But I guess it's more just the big anxiety and fear that, gosh, if I was to have one, if I had Ellie, if I had a second child within, another year after Ellie, I'd have been in exactly the same position as I was with Ellie. Yeah. And I knew I just couldn't put myself through that again. So, not that I thought anything was going to change significantly. I mean, but it's, yeah, I think that's definitely been a big holdback for me. Definitely.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely as much support. I mean, for Julie, crikey, definitely women support as well, not just your husband, because Jamie was there for me for the first 2 weeks, which was really good. I mean, he took the whole 2 weeks off, but in his mind it was, he wanted to make sure I could get around on the transportation around London. So that was his mission, was like, right, we're going to do every form of transportation so that it's okay to do the tube, the train, the car, the bus. So we did it, which was great, which was really good. Yeah. But now looking back on it, I'm like, God, I think I just needed time. I don't know. But but maybe that's I guess a little insight into a guy's mind for it. It's like, right, okay, we've got 2 weeks where basically I've got to get my wife, making sure she is geared up to make sure she can do, but that's how we think. So it's a really lovely thing. It was really good, and actually it was really beneficial. But what I didn't get was any support from like my family or his family, just simply because they just didn't come down. I'm not blaming anybody, in particular or anything like that. It's just the way it was.
Yeah.
And it now, actually, because we're talking about it and thinking about it in the past, so important that you just have, even if you want to, like, Julie, this is particularly if you're listening, even if you can line your people up, like, have your husband there for the first week, get your mum to come over for week 2 and 3, get your sister to come over for week 4 and 5, so the first 6 weeks, have someone there. Have someone there, even if it's your neighbour for like 3 days or something.
Exactly.
And then you'll feel stifled, and then you'll want a bit of time. That's fine. But those first 6 weeks are just
absolutely
quite unbelievable.
It is. The first 6 weeks, I mean, it's the 4th trimester. It's just definitely line up your team, but afterwards, because
you'll need it.
I just so I've this is like kind of part of that. I've been watching because it's available on Netflix now, America's Got Talent. And there's this couple who are like trapeze artists, and they are amazing, not only because of their skill, but because they are so adorable together. Their passion is so palpable, and there's such amazing, like, there's something about them that you're just like they're trapeze artists. I mean, they're incredibly talented, like Cirque du Soleil level, but their hearts they're such authentic. Their authenticity comes out, it just comes out at you on the screen. And so when you watch the show, like when those people are performing, they'll show on the corner of the screen their Instagram handle or their Instagram thing. So I connected them on Instagram, and the wife, she had Instagram's got this IGT, this TV thing now, and she recorded a video, and she was talking about her pregnancy, because their goal is they want to be able to perform consistently at Vegas and have like a normal, like regular schedule, because right now they travel all over the country in America, so they leave their 2-year-old son. She started working, I think she said something like 5 or 6 months after, or 4 months after she gave birth, and they started to travel again, and she had to be away from her baby, and she leaves him with her mother or something, and she starts crying, saying this, that our dream is to be able to perform regularly in Vegas, so we can be with our son, and we could be this one happy family. So anyway, so she's talking about her pregnancy and her birth in this video. It was incredible. And she doesn't get into the details about her birth. She's like, that's another video, and I'll make another video about that. But she was talking about how 3 days after she gave birth, because of her profession, she said, like during her pregnancy, she still worked out until the day before she gave birth. And then 3 days after she gave birth, she's like, I went back into the gym, and she's like, I just did light things. She's like, I walked on an incline on the treadmill, and that's pretty much it. But the fact that she went 3 days after her giving birth, going into the gym, because she had to get back into shape as fast as possible.
Gosh.
I was just like, holy shit. So at the end of her video, she goes, I now know, because I want to have another baby eventually. She's like, I now know. And she's like, this is my message to all of you women who want children or who are about to have a baby. She's like, next time, I'm just going to take it easy. And she's like, just take it easy. You don't need to rush getting into things. You don't need to get your body back fast. She's like, I'm the exception. My profession is based on my body and my strength. But she's like, I know that I was too obsessed with my physique. And she's like, I know that if I was a little bit, like maybe 10 pounds heavier than I am now, I know that I still would have been able to like work. I wouldn't have been fired. She's like, but I was so obsessed in my mind that I had to go right back to work, or I had to rush back into it. So she was just like, her message was actually it was just really great, because every woman needs to hear this. And so I wrote her a direct message, and I was like, I love what you said in the video. Thank you for sharing. I can't wait to hear you talk about your home birth, because she had a home birth. And she wrote back. She's like, thank you very much, and it was just like super cool. But it was just, her message was great, because, her story is extreme. Like going back to the gym 3 days after giving birth. I mean, I can't even imagine that. But just the whole thing.
I can barely walk.
Yeah, I mean, like, sure, like if you want to go take a walk outside, go up and down the block or around the block, fine. But the mental, psychological thing that it does to you, walking back into the gym, because you're going back into the gym for a purpose, that's totally a mind trick. You know what I mean? So I thought it was great that she said, just take it easy, take your time, don't rush into it. Because that's so important. It's what women need to hear.
It's almost like you learn from your mistakes. I know that sounds a bit negative in a way, but learn from your mistakes with your first baby.
Yeah.
Said a whole of mine. You learn, and then the second baby should be technically easier, or you should make, but the same things still reoccur that you'll probably find. But yeah, I think the first baby is definitely like the guinea pig baby, as the, and then you realize what you can and cannot do, because you've never done it before, so this is a new thing. When you haven't done it before, you always think, I could do this better the next time. And it's exactly the same with having a baby. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, and it happens from the moment you go into labor, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the pregnancy is kind of like, well, a lot of times pregnancies, you never know how it's going to go. Like, you don't know if you're going to, I don't know. Most of the women that come to me, a lot of women who come to me, it's their second baby, and they didn't do all the body work that they did because they didn't really know. And their second pregnancy, it's like now they really want to,
make sure that,
so they learn a lot. So then, and that's why the second baby, the birth, is so much easier.
Yeah.
It's so much faster and so much easier. And it's just kind of like because you've been there, done that, your body knows what to expect, and it's just much more like smooth. So that's very true, you know, in the first 6 weeks of the baby's life. It's so much easier. It's so much smoother. Much easier, but you still need support.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's your first or whether it's your 10th, definitely.
Yeah.
If your 10th, then definitely you need support.
Yeah.
That's a different story altogether.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go. I'm afraid.
No problem.
Because Ellie is going to be starving.
Yes, I'm gonna get my kids. So I'm gonna email everybody with a link to the video, and also like a little link of a tiny, like it's only like I think 4 questions on SurveyMonkey about like just people's opinions of the course. So I'm gonna email that too.
Great. Good.
Cool. Well, thanks, Alexi.
Thank you. Thank you as well. Good.
Cool. All right. Awesome.
Good
so
stuff.
Have a great
I'll see
Sunday.
you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.